something out, because there's something else going on here, and I have only seen it in passing. I never understood. I'm not exactly the greatest with regards to things, but this came out to be who is the most hated VTuber. I mean, really.
In VTubers as of recently. Don't worry, it was completely involuntary. I wouldn't condone the knowledge I've absorbed being put on anyone else. But since their first conception in 2016, and later popularity in 2019 to 2020, which has carried it all the way to the present day, where like endless mitosis, they've reproduced to the point where they are everywhere. There's a VTuber for every animal almost. I'm still waiting on a water bear VTuber though, or one that isn't.
Now that would be freaking sweet. Somebody decide to do that one, why not? I mean, that's indestructible. That's somebody that would basically take all of the hate and go, nope, didn't get through my skin.
Inspired by a slot machine that has a gambling addiction. I feel like I'd resonate with them very well. But due to its popularity, there are a range of VTubing personalities. Some more reserved and safe for work, some at the other side of the spectrum, and then some you'd think were on a different type of spectrum with whatever the fuck this is.
Chibi. Oh, yeah.
I'm hungry. Treat. I'll do a backflip for a treat. I'll do a backflip for a treat.
They make content, they stream, some have their own lore better than any of the latest Marvel movies. They have their own meet and greets at events. They even have their own concerts which sell a lot of tickets. The internet is infatuated with VTubers, and VTubing is accessible to anyone. If you can fork out the money for a VTubing model with multiple toggles and features, like a tit slider and jiggle physics, which is essentially like jingling keys for the absolute gooners of the VTuber audience. However, VTubing has become slightly oversaturated over the years, and it is hard to differentiate yourself from the sheer amount of VTubers that there is. But apart from that, VTubing comes with a lot of benefits over their fleshy counterparts, like being able to say the most abhorrent and viscous statements with complete anonymity.
Where's your fucking art degree, buddy? Where's your fucking art degree? Oh, you have one? Okay, Hitler.
Probably due to the sheer popularity and benefits of being a VTuber, you can now find many other content creators adopting their own VTuber personality. But with the vast amount of people partaking in such format, with a variety...
Honestly, with regards to the differing in personality, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to be me. That's it. Why do anything outside my box? I mean, that's just exhausting. You know? If you're not going to be your authentic true self, that's exhausting.
Of personalities and opinions, it's only natural that some VTubers would be favoured over others and some just outright hated. This brings me to the topic of today's video. One of the most hated VTubers that recently can't seem to catch a break, someone that had the complete opposite reputation only a few years ago, and someone I've spoken about before but never really in depth, Nux Taku. Yasina's Gunpai has recently removed herself from the internet due to people finding out that she wasn't in fact single and dating all her audience, which was a new level of parasocial.
Yeah, GFE. Calling out GFE. Way to go. Because yeah, honestly, that's where the majority of followers go. I don't blame them. They're most of the people that are like, ooh, I think I got a shot. Really, dude? You really think you got a shot? That's like trying to say that you think you got a shot with Amaranth. Do you really want to go there?
Degeneracy. She even invited them to send dick pics as part of the girlfriend experience, but she's gone now, and probably has a solid terabyte of uncut penis on her hard drive, and that one other VTuber really doesn't count in this category, because most people still don't know they exist, which is partially a good thing. So the title now falls on Nux, as in recent years he's been regarded to be one of the most hated VTubers, and still to this day gets shit like a public outhouse more than any other VTuber. But who is Nuxtaku, how did he become so hated, and does he deserve it?
I'm just incredibly famous on the internet, so people decide to try to cancel me on Twitter for some reason because they're jealous of my incredible success.
So for one of the most hated VTubers, you'd have probably expected this man to have spawned straight from the spread cheeks of Nurgle, with malice and hate as his prerogative. Which isn't that far from the truth. Nux originally started posting on the internet in 2015 with anime-based videos which I cannot relate to in any way. Anybody that has ever made such content should be lined up and shot with hollow point 7.62 rounds, but I digress. Nux had made his start on the internet making primarily anime-targeted content, which people actually loved. A major critique against Nux from previous fans seems to be that they enjoyed it when he just made anime-themed content rather than the content he would later shift to. But we'll talk about that later. But in the current time frame, the gravy train was not ending for Nux. He collaborated with many content creators doing the same niche he was, that at the time held a lot of influence on the platform. And he even eventually reached over 1 million subscribers by 2019, just by once again doing anime content, and conveniently around the same time, by his own words, somehow got cancelled for the first time in the year of 2020, which was one of the first of many to come, and honestly, to Nux's credit, he has withstood a lot of them. You cannot take it away from him. Dude has tanked controversies even though sometimes it's down to his own actions. But his first cancellation, in his own words, was due to comments he made towards animes and anime characters. Yeah, we must have been very bored in 2020. And one
Yes, we were. Very, very bored in 2020. Very bored.
of the comments that put him under scrutiny was when he referred to male anime characters that presented themselves as feminine under the title of traps, which I discovered recently has become a slur. Thank you for the 2020 slur patch notes 5 years later. And to be honest, I haven't heard anyone use the word trap in a while. The second thing he was accused of was being racist, because he pronounced Full Metal Alchemist like this. And the third thing was that he was sexist for talking about anime female characters in a negative way. But sorry to say, Sakura is a fucking useless character. I had to say it, she would have been more useful as a shuriken shield than anything else in the story. But out of all the controversies that Nux would later have, this one was by far the least impactful on his online reputation. But Nux's response to these allegations and critiques gives you a good example on Nux's online persona, which has persisted even to this present day. He kind of just told them to go f*** themselves, and he clammed on the people hating on him, and clarified he wasn't in the wrong because the majority of the time he was just talking about anime characters.
I don't think I did anything that warrants an apology, and therefore I, Lord D. Nuxanor, will not be apologized.
This is the persona a lot of people revered him for. He was someone that had relatively no filter and was certainly unapologetic for it. He was loud, energetic, satirical, and in his own words, he just loved the chaos and just flexing on the haters. That is also a term I haven't heard for a while. People loved this about him. It was somewhat of a breath of fresh air for that time, which to many's horror, someone with the same characteristics and significantly less apologetic was about to become popular around the same time. But all of what I've just mentioned was before he even became a VTuber. He actually only debuted as a VTuber in 2021, which mentioned before was around the boom of VTubing. Before his debut, he was like a 2D VTuber of sorts, using his character that looked like a black tar heroin version of Sans from Undertale. But he was never considered a VTuber till that day of early 2021. And compared to other VTubing models, it did get its fair share of criticism. It didn't track very well. Sometimes his lips didn't collaborate very well with what he was saying. People once again thought he was just a Sans Undertale clone.
Yeah, and of course my tracking ain't the greatest either.
And where were the big boobers and tit sliders? Disgraceful. But many of his fans actually loved it. It collaborated very well with his online personality and content, but after this he did start to stray away from his anime themed content, with VTuber related videos and general trends at the time. Like I gave X amount to a starving Serbian child, and he even threw a few songs in there as well. But with his new type of content, he started to receive a lot more attention. Even with the disagreement from his older fans, he managed to reach 2 million subscribers, and even collaborated with the top echelons of YouTube, like Some Ordinary Gamers, Moist Critical, Umperville, and Lost Paws, who I feel like I haven't seen in a while, and obviously other VTubers like Bao and Iron Mouse. He even started a podcast in 2021 with Umperville and Mutaha, just talking about things that happened on the internet. And even though his older fans criticised him, his content had changed drastically, and he wasn't everybody's cup of tea. All of this was outweighed by the support and positivity for him. However, due to a number of controversies regarding his own actions, the tide of positivity quickly turned against him. And in the current day, he doesn't collaborate with many YouTubers like he used to. His content has mainly evolved into just slop reaction content. Oops, sorry, wrong channel. And on his second channel, he's dived into politics, which has also landed him in hot water, and many of the people that were once close to him have seemingly distanced themselves from him. Many address him now with either infamousy or just outright hate, which is very polarizing when compared to his previous years on the platform. But what are these controversies, and does he deserve a reputation that is essentially on the same level as a urinal cake marinated in piss?
And the point that I'm trying to make here is, for some reason, I became the goddamn enemy numero uno.
Now, probably one of the...
Now, let's just figure out whether or not he actually is deserving of it. Yeah, I don't really know about him much. I haven't followed him, I haven't anything, so I'm just kind of learning here.
The first major and most confusing controversies Nux faced was in 2021 with VShoujo. Conveniently not long after he debuted, VShoujo is a VTubing agency with many of the juggernauts of the VTubing scene under their belt, like Iron Mouse, Project Melody, Zentreya, Fruit, and many more being added to this day. However, even before the events occurred, Nux and the talent of VShoujo were on good terms. They created content together, interacted in the cesspool that is Twitter, and just all around seemed to have a good relationship. However, in 2021, somebody was targeting VShoujo, and were pretending to be VShoujo in order to gather VTubers' personal information to harass, dox, and even swat them. Some of the emails appeared like they were coming from VShoujo recruitment, and one specifically was sent to an indie VTuber, where they essentially thought their dreams were coming true, and they were asked to join VShoujo, but first they would have to put all their information in.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the one thing I do know is I personally have been in the banking industry in the fraud section for quite some time, and this is a very common tactic from the scammers of the world. They will try to impersonate a legitimate business or something to target their favored things. No joke, I just started, and I occasionally get a scam email or a scam tweet once a day minimum. So it's like, excuse me, no, I gonna research a little bit, and then I end up looking at it, rolling my eyes and going, yeah, sounds too good to be true, likely is. So yeah, I am where I am, and I will go with reputable sources that I can confirm.
In which the police then showed up to their house because they had just been swatted. Nux had received the same email, but he knew it wasn't VShoujo. He got in contact with the VShoujo management team and cybersecurity team to tell them what was happening and that potentially more VTubers are going to fall victim to this, but VShoujo was already aware this was happening and were doing their own investigation. Nux began his own investigation by providing the wrong information to the email so they would contact him, and at one point they even flexed they had his information in a Discord server for some reason, which was provided to Nux by one of his apparent fans.
There's sources of info that I got, which are kind of hilarious. This dude was flexing that he got my real name and phone number, which he didn't, and he was posting it in his Discord servers, and one of the people in the Discord server that he was posting it was a fan of mine.
Nux was working on a full video covering this topic and spreading awareness about it. The VShoujo's cybersecurity team and management knew about this video being made and were communicating directly with Nux about the video through things like Discord, and he even showed them the video before it was released. This also involved one of the VShoujo talents that was never named.
Someone is out there impersonating VShoujo, the massive VTuber group. They tried to steal my info, dox me, and swat me, and they've successfully done this to many, many other VTubers. This is not
Now, to Nux's credit, the video promptly spread awareness about the situation, potentially saving more indie VTubers that would want to join VShoujo, and just spreading awareness about general cybersecurity etiquette. Yes, if you received an email from Jackman saying you're the top 1% of jackers, and they want to deliver your own personal golden encrusted flashlight, they just need you to fill out all your personal information, they were probably lying to you. But you'd think people would rejoice at such a positive thing Nux had done. Yes, people did initially praise him for this video, and VShoujo also thanked him, and one of the perpetrators allegedly had their information turned over to the police, but the positive acclamations for Nux quickly turned when many of the VShoujo VTubers publicly criticised Nux for making a video on the topic with allegations levied against him of being a clout chaser and potentially putting them in danger. With the fact that many of the VShoujo team had apparently told him not to make the video, but he did so anyway, and many of them just wanted the video removed, in which it was 3 days later. Now,
Yeah, that's... Yeah, when it comes to that kind of stuff, if all of a sudden he did it after the fact when he had already been told by the company themselves they didn't want it out there, yeah, bro, you cooked yourself.
it's important to note that within the video, none of the VShoujo members were mentioned directly. The only other VTuber mentioned in the video was Saki, who was the victim that got swatted, and in fact responded positively to the video being made. So the only way this would put VShoujo talent in danger would be inspiring other people to do the same. But VShoujo knew about it. Even one of the members was in the Discord with the cybersecurity team and Nux. And once again, they thanked him and even provided an official statement at the end of the video. But it appears the VShoujo talent were not informed about this at all. Hence why a lot of them were denouncing Nux's video. And to make things worse, VShoujo management deleted their thank you to Nux, and then went with a narrative that they always told him never to make the video. And
Now that's a tough one to actually decide on. That's a hard one to decide on. If you were going to tell somebody one thing and then all of a sudden within 72 hours it reverses track, I don't know where to stand on this right now, because two wrongs don't make a right. It really doesn't. That sucks.
everyone proceeded to pile on Nux. Now, if you've been stunlocked, it's no surprise all of this is very confusing, but to break this down for you like SpaghettiOs, this is basically a tale of poor communication, where the VShoujo members were not told beforehand about this, except for the one VShoujo member that was in the group apparently. The VShoujo team thought they communicated directly to Nux.
This is where all of a sudden I have to ask the question, why did they not actually communicate with the rest of their talents? Why?
That they didn't want this video to be made, with only 2 instances, one before he even started the video, and 2 when they were actively helping him with the video, where they didn't tell him directly to not make the video, and even thanked him for it. But when the VShoujo talent had problems with it, they then withdrew their thanks, and once again reinstated their stance they never wanted him to make this video, despite once again being informed and having some part in it. They also expressed concerns about the one person he called a fan, who was the one that told him they were leaking the fake information, that they were a part of the attack and could be feeding him misinformation. That is the bare bones of what happened, and Nux was facing a mountain of backlash for it, even though his heart was in the right place and he did inform the group. I just wanted to bring light to this situation to prevent any further victims. He kind of just got thrown under the bus due to an apparent miscommunication with him and the cybersecurity and management team of VShoujo. But when the dust settled, Nux just wanted to move on, and all parties apologised, including the VShoujo VTubers. But for his first major controversy, he received a lot of backlash for this, even though, once again, his heart was in the right place. And the real problem was the people doxing and swatting people. But the next one is something I've spoken about before, so I'll give you the cliff notes. But it's one that Nux regards as his biggest mistake, and one that took around 2 years to somewhat conclude.
And I made a huge up. Without hyperbole, this was the biggest mistake of my career, and I am deeply, deeply sorry for spreading misinformation.
Well, at least he's admitting it.
A VTuber by the name of Tiger had a document created about them alleging they were a predator. The document was produced by individuals that were previous mods and stalkers of Tiger, and in 2022, Nux made a video with Moist Critical going over VTuber drama. Moist didn't know about a lot of these VTubers or dramas, and the video was essentially Nux giving a tour through the many controversies of the VTuber community and explaining them. However, he does eventually get to Tiger and says he doesn't know much about the situation, but then continues to convey the message they were a predator. And with someone like Moist Critical in the video, a lot of people saw it.
Yikes. That's a big yikes. Yeah. Sometimes life is not forgiving when you make a mistake. This is proof positive of that.
Left to
Turing money.
Is this HoloLive?
No. Tyga is an indie streamer who, I don't know the whole story, but Tyga was outed to be a
Oh.
Now, Tiger was exonerated from these claims a few months later, and Nux did pin a comment regarding the Tiger situation under the video, and he even removed that part in the video. He also apologized privately to Tiger for this, but many thought the damage was already done. 6 months later, Nux brings up the situation on his podcast, once again saying he messed up, and he was going off the information what other people told him, and that once again he had privately apologized for this.
Like, I alleged it also because a friend told me, and I regret it because he, you know, I don't know if it's true. He ended up coming back with some sort of response. I don't know, this guy Bungo Taiga, and I apologized to him privately that I even alleged something like that, and like because a friend told me.
Now, you would think this is where it would end. Nux somewhat apologized and learned his lesson that, you know, you should verify information before voicing it.
Yep, that's why when all of a sudden I try to say things, I go by my opinion, and yeah, liberal usage of allegedly. I am not going to commit to say something is fact when I do not know absolutely as fact. So yeah.
Especially when it's a serious allegation, which he did do again around the same time against another YouTuber and VTuber called Rev.
Oh, really, dude? Really? You went after Rev?
They got into a whole kerfuffle and made a video, which was removed recently, with a weird comment from Nux where if he was to do a video on Rev, with his influence and podcast, YouTube would probably take his channel down.
If I make a video roasting this dude on my main channel, YouTube will literally deplatform him. Like, YouTube actually watches my stuff, especially ever since I've been on the Some Ordinary podcast. YouTube has really been paying attention to like what we've been saying, and I'll be honest, if I would make a video on him on the main channel, I do think he'd get taken down for either bullying or the whole weird pedo stuff.
But a few months later, he would claim YouTube are actively suppressing him, which just contradicts his past claim, but he did apologize for this around 2 years later.
And some of the stuff that I said in my old stream that I foolishly uploaded on Nuxanor. And yeah, I was definitely out of pocket when I talked about Rev like 2-3 years ago, whenever the fuck that was.
But with the Tiger situation, it wasn't done yet, as Tiger thought it wasn't a good apology, because Nux claimed privately they would publicly clear the slate regarding Tiger, possibly with another video with Moist Critical. But the video or cleaning of the public slate never came.
This guy Bungo Taiga, and I apologized to him privately that...
Let me be clear. Let me check exactly what he said. If I do a sequel with Charlie, I was planning on it, I'll try to clear the record more publicly. I'll also do more research. Again, I don't know right now, however, I'll try to rectify any extra damage I caused and hope you can accept my apology. This was in December 22nd, 2022. 2022! He said he was going to make a sequel video with Moist Critical. Video never came.
Now moving to 2024, Nux was...
Video never came because I think Moist probably backed out. So all of a sudden he doesn't have the folks to be able to actually do things. So yeah, kind of sucks, but it is what it is, I guess.
Still getting backlash for this mistake. People wanted him to take full accountability for this, with not just a pinned comment, not just a small segment on his podcast, and not just a private DM. And in 2024, he did apologise, saying it was the biggest fuck-up of his career, in a video where he goes over the unjust banning of VTubers on YouTube, and mentions Tiger, who was also banned on the platform. He does apologise for the situation, but adds he wasn't to blame for Tiger's deplatforming.
And I made a huge fuck up. Without hyperbole, this was the biggest mistake of my career, and I am deeply, deeply sorry for spreading misinformation and for causing any undue hate to be sent Tyga's way. I am sorry for how I handled that. I'm sorry for how I said it. I have tried to do better since then, and I will continue to try to do better in the future.
Now, he apologised again. It should all go away now, right? Not really. Many viewed his apology as disingenuous, due to the fact he made comments around the same time previously contradicting the private apology, comments on the podcast, and pinned comment, so a lot of people thought all of his apologies he'd made were just disingenuous anyway.
Bro! Right. I thought you cared about, stood up for small creators. I do. Especially when the small creators don't have sussy interactions in regards to minors.
And still to this day, this situation is levied against him. Now, Nux, contrary to popular belief, wasn't to blame directly for Tiger's deplatforming, but he was to blame for the spread of allegations at the time, and how he dealt with the situation, often apologising, then going back on his word, then apologising again. He all around did not deal with this situation very well, and it did have an effect on his reputation, something the next controversy, only a month later, would also do, and would receive 10 times more attention than any of his past controversies, with the most lukewarm scenario. And that is the Jaden Animations situation. Now, most people know who Jaden Animations is. She makes animated videos, mainly storytime videos, and even herself later became a VTuber. But this whole controversy boils down to Nux that had just changed his type of content to mainly just reaction-based content, which many popular content creators do, like Asmongold and Pyrocynical, the Mounting Ugly. And overall, But people had a problem with Nux due to the fact he started reacting to Jaden, and he would take the title or situation and involve himself in it. With a title like "Me and Jaden had a good 10 years on YouTube," or "Jaden Animations talks to me about dating," or
when you start doing stuff that's disingenuous, ugh, that's just kind of a why, dude? Why? Why did you go there, bro? That just don't work. Don't self-insert. That's just cringy.
"Me and Jaden forgot to file our taxes and the IRS found us." Stuff like that.
We? Who's we? There is no we.
It made it look like they were doing a collab of sorts, even though I don't think there's any recorded event of them interacting. But people were not happy with this, and a whole bunch of hate was sent to Nux, especially with the perceived reputation he already had. Someone made a fake response from Jaden, which many believed, essentially telling him to fuck off. Someone made a Google Chrome extension which adds him to every YouTube video, and someone ratioed Mr. Beast with a meme and he took credit for it. People made a Teen Titans Go reference with it, which was "and Bumblebee," which he assumed meant it was just kids making fun of him.
I'm getting canceled by Teen Titans Go children. I'm being canceled by toddlers. It's amazing.
Even though Teen Titans Go, yes, it is a bad sequel to Teen Titans, but it is pretty old now, and I think it aired quite a while ago when I was...
Yeah, quite a while ago, and that was kind of bad. I remember the first airing of the first Teen Titans, and that was actually good.
As a toddler, but people that didn't know who Nux was before this just thought he was the Jaden Animations guy now, which I don't know if it's good PR or bad PR, but to be honest, he was just doing what every other React channel does, albeit changing the title slightly. I don't know why he chose Jaden. He wasn't framing any other titles like this, and he had already been doing it as far back as 2 years ago, but it was just...
Yeah, that's a big thing. Most stuff is transformative. You grab what's successful and change it by 10%. That's just how, to use the really horrible quote, that's just business.
reaction videos, which many people watch, so they don't feel alone watching YouTube in their dark, dingy basement. But anyway, now the last controversy, yes, we're almost there. I know I've taken up a majority of your time, but let's be honest, that time playing War Thunder or Dead by Daylight wouldn't have been time well spent, now would it? So shut up. But the last one, and probably the most impactful, was basically surrounding Lolly. Now,
Okay, honestly, I don't play those other games, so yeah, I have nothing better to do. I am just... Honestly, I'm still glad I'm not terminally online. Maybe I can aspire to that. Who knows?
the topic of lolly has been debated for years now, especially within the anime community. On one side you have people that argue lolly characters in anime or VTubing is only an aesthetic thing focused on characters that are small or have a specific body type. A key example used by this side is Rebecca from Cyberpunk, which was a whole different controversy back then, but she did get absolutely balled on in the anime. And on the other side, people say they are depictions of children, and if you sexualize them, you are a predator. With the example, some anime characters seen in that light are underage. But how does this relate to Nux? Well, Nux was heavily against lolly publicly, saying along the lines, if you like lolly or sexualize it, you are a predator. However, many took a look back at Nux's history with some of the content and thumbnails, some of which have been deleted and changed over the years. Many cited he had straight up involved lolly sexually in his thumbnails or suggested such themes in his content. Even at one point he had a series where he would straight up show anime porn to other influencers to get their reaction.
He has the same facial expression as Tom, bro. Whoever made this needs to be in jail.
What were we doing back then in those days of content? Jesus. He even showed hentai that was considered lolly to his fellow co-host Mudaha.
This is a hentai? First rule, hug your little sister every day.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, it's just hug her for at least 10 seconds. There's nothing wrong with the hug. Yeah, it's fine.
No, the third rule isn't any weirder, so you don't have to worry.
Oh.
But he was mainly being called out for being a hypocrite due to the thumbnails and the videos. But what made things significantly worse at the time was the Ava Chris Tyson allegations, where Ava was a supporter of Shadman, an infamous character online that drew NSFWR, and more notably drew NSFWR of Keemstar's daughter at the time, who was underage, which everyone viewed as fucking disgusting. But after the whole Ava Chris Tyson story, a post was made showing all the creators that associate with or endorse Shadman, and Nux was listed, where he previously included Shadman's art in his thumbnails, which he did change a few days after the video was released a few years ago.
Remember the video that I talked about that had a Shadman art in the thumbnail and I changed it? And people kept saying that, no, I don't believe you that you changed the thumbnail back 3 years ago. You probably just changed it right now. Game of Thrones memes are fucked up. Last updated thumbnail 11/24/2020.
He asked him for a collaboration where Nux's excuse was he was going to make fun of him.
People are making this as some sort of, I am supporting him and I'm trying my best to become friends with Shadman, this monster, which is fucking stupid if you know my content at all. I troll confront people when I collab the same way you do, talking to Keemstar, on LOLcow, and if you watch my videos, you know that. I don't mind if you hate me, but at least hate me for the right reasons.
And at one point he even had direct contact with Shadman, where multiple videos resurfaced of him talking about the DMs.
I'm trying to make his. Yes, I did get DM'd by Shadman every once in a while, back in the day, rarely. I would just wake up out of the blue and boom, I'd have a Shadman DM, and I would literally make fun of him for those DMs later. Man, that's a weird, yeah. And,
that's a way to start a sentence.
That's a way to start a sentence. And he has some interesting takes on Gardevoir.
He can keep.
There are a lot of people who have takes with regards to Gardevoir, and yeah, we'll leave that there.
But I don't think I need to hear them.
Yeah, they're weird. Dude, honestly, it was the weirdest conversation I've ever had in my life. Like, through DMs. I didn't speak to him, like, voice, but it was the weirdest conversation I've ever had.
And even one video where he says he doesn't want to get him in trouble.
Shadman once, it was the weirdest interaction of my life. Like, that dude may actually open up the DMs. Let me see if I can find anything funny he said. Oh my god, I can't even read you most of this. I can't even, oh my god, I literally can't read any of this to you. I really want to show them to you, but I don't want to, like, show you anything that I can't reveal. Like, I don't want to actually get him in trouble. It's just like, yeah.
But Nux clarifies he never knew about the Keemstar Shadman thing, Now, it's been unclear if Nux was ever going to actually roast Shadman if he did a video with him,
And then you have to ask whether or not this was so disingenuous.
or if he truly didn't know about what Shadman was doing. But the fact he had direct contact with someone like Shadman, many still viewed as incriminating, even though in his own words he was just making fun of him. In his response, he also said he regrets a lot of his previous content and the involvement of Lolly in them, and he has always been against Lolly.
It wasn't a review of LollyCon. That's obviously bad faith. Probably one of the most bad faith ways to twist what actually happened I've ever heard. Now, I have said in the past, and I'll say it again, I do regret making a lot of those old videos. I have literally always been against the lolly. I made old videos where I found, like, crazy hentai, and I showed them to people for shock value. These hentai videos are on YouTube also, and I reacted.
Yeah, probably not anymore, but yeah. Keep cooking. Keep cooking yourself.
To a YouTube video being like, this is crazy that this came out of Japan and is literally on YouTube. So anyway, it was a little wild. I invited a lot of people to the call. Obviously no one thought it was weird. People had eyeballs. Everyone thought that the content was weird.
A lot of this controversy just boils down to Nux saying he hated something, but he was involving it in his content and was actively showing it to people, and he also shouldn't have had ties with someone making terrible NSFW art, even if he was going to make fun of him. Now, this is where the controversy stood for some time, but then the post-Nux clarity hit for Mudaha a few months later, which, to give him credit, is a good title. But Mudaha made a video basically saying he was distancing himself from Nux due to some feedback he got from Reddit.
Okay. Sus? I declare sus. Because there are things I've seen on Reddit that are just... wee.
But to go back to it, Nuxtaku is a former collaborator, a former friend of mine, and I mean really a former friend of mine, because some of the stuff that I've seen over here is disgusting enough that I really can't continue a friendship, and I really can't, excuse some of my behavior watching some of this content.
He said they had no more business relations and they were no longer friends due to things like the Tiger situation, the Shadman situation, and the Lolly involvement, which he had some part in and showed remorse for it.
But in this situation, I just wanted to provide you the context of all of this, right? This wasn't us sitting together watching Loli, just on the off time. This is a collaboration for one of Nux's main channel videos. And at the time, really nobody thought about it. But we should have. It really did blindside me. There was a bias, call it, friendship bias, call it, there was other creators working on it, but really it was something that I was putting up a blind spot to, and I'm not using that as an excuse. I really shouldn't have done that collaboration, and I really shouldn't have watched that content, and if any way contributed to normalizing it.
And he went on to say he didn't know about Nux's content and he was naive to some of the things he took part in.
Yeah, this is where all of a sudden, that's another reason why I actually say sus. Because, seriously, dude, you've already done collaborations with him, and you likely have already seen previous content with him, and you're declaring blind spot. I'm not going to defend Nux and what he did. I'm just a guy from outside. But seriously, when it comes to this sort of thing, if you're going to go and believe what you saw on Reddit, I trust Reddit about 2 steps less than I trust what's on Twitter. So, yeah, bro. Keep going.
Wait, you showed more in those videos?
But in this video, he was basically taking accountability for his involvement, but then deleted the video, citing he was overreacting, and he apologized to Nux, and they are still friends.
Muda deleted his video, posted a community post, and then called me, and apologized.
Many thought this was disingenuous of Muta taking accountability, then walking it back, and he did receive a lot of flack for this.
Well, of course, you're going to catch flack no matter which way you go. I mean, there's fans of every different spectrum. It's just like anything regarding opinions in politics. Everybody's got opinions, just like everybody's got chocolate starfishes, bro.
Citing that wearing the Christian medallion was giving off some gamma radiation and probably skewed his judgment due to this. And many said he was just throwing Nux under the bus, who was supposedly his friend, so he didn't have to deal with the Reddit hate. Mutaha probably should have thought a lot more about this before making the video, but the two of them made up anyway apparently. But the fallout of this video was a lot of the previous stuff being brought up again against Nux, and other people like Chud Logic were affected when they were told contradicting things by Mutaha and reported on it.
My boots have been pissed on, and I've been told that it's raining, right? It is 100% without question that Mutaha did say to me, okay, he did say to me that it was ending because of Nux Taku and the Shaman connection, and then later changed that.
But overall, a lot of content creators before the post-Nux clarity.
And that's one of those things that, as a creator, if you're getting into collabs, it's like you're going to get whiplash if it's going back and forth, back and forth. It's like, you got to kind of wonder, how disingenuous is somebody being?
Video and after did start to distance themselves from Nux.
I love me some chaos now and again, but it was a pretty rough moment there.
So in conclusion, does Nux deserve the reputation of the most hated VTuber? Looking at all the controversies, he tried to do the right thing with the V Shoujo situation, and the Jaden Animations thing was just kind of a joke, but due to his own actions like contradicting himself at times or going back on what he says and taking no accountability, except for sometimes years later, it has led to a lot of people hating him. So yes, he does somewhat deserve that title, mostly due to his past controversies and the public perception of him. But in the present, I predict we probably won't see any more dramas from Nux. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, I'd probably say you are wrong, bro, because he's still out there, he's still making content, and he's still got his own opinion. It is what it is. He's just going to keep making content, because last I heard, he's still on Kick, still banned on YouTube, and I'm just learning about this dude since I'm just entering the space. And it's like, I had to question, okay, who is this dude, and why does everybody hate him? Okay. I honestly don't hate people. I don't have room for hate. I don't have room for people rent-free in my head. That's truth.
Nowadays, dude is just reacting to politics and Adventure Time, and yes, he does get a lot of hate for his political takes, but I'm in no way political, or have any knowledge on politics. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, and bye-bye.
Oh, of course. And if you actually like this man, I would definitely say give him a like, give him a sub,